I'm good.
Heaven with the junk food. We better hurry.
Yeah.
Anything else you need?
No.
Snack stuff, I guess.
And today, none of us allowed to climb. We could say maybe some of your friends, relatives, neighbors had pictures climbing this temple many years ago. We were free to do all these kind of things. But since 2005 entered internet, they had to close this up and preserve and protect a lot of great art. I mean, stucco figures, a lot of stucco walls that sometimes we see people writing their names, picking on the stucco, and that's another reason why archaeologists had to preserve and protect some of this. As I'm going to show you some of this artwork that many years ago were visible, and we could recognize a lot of great things. But through all these problems, they had to close them up. And now we're just allowed to wander around and walk around to identify some of the great things that this structure have as considered one of the main calendar. Why it's considered as a calendar? Because every 91 days we actually understand season change. And where do we find 91? On the steps. If you get to notice, 91 steps on each side. And if we multiply them by 4, it's 364. Plus the last step that the priest gave on the top, complete 365. And if you get to see carefully, where the gentleman is cleaning, you could see it's a little bit kind of in. It's one of the panels. That is, we get to see, we got 1, 2, 3 panels. Up to the 8, you could identify that we have 3 panels in each of those layers. And if we multiply 3 times 8, yeah. And the last one only have 2. 26. 26 times 2. 52 weeks that we have on the year, or the year cycle that the Mayans believe on. They didn't believe in centuries, millenniums, or decades. They believe in cycles based on 52 years. And how we can get this? 365 times 52. 18,980 days, or 52-year cycle. That's the average of life that the Mayans had on this area. Imagine people working on this kind of weather, cutting the stones, because you actually know that they had to quarry the stones to bring it out here, and they have to burn the stones to get lime and use this as glue to put all this together. And we get to identify how important this main structure was. Not only what we're actually seeing right now, but what was on the inside, or what used to be under the first one.
There's a bee around you.
And we actually know that they have like 3 layers of structure on what we're actually seeing right now. And how we could then, I know who's gonna volunteer to be sacrificed to the God.
Yeah, you see.
You heard something?
Yeah.
Again, amigo.
God is responding back.
If we are out there shouting, when we had the wall had a height of 8 feet tall, and the sound stays in. Again, amigo, por favor, gracias. How about all together on 3? 3 times. Are we ready?
Yeah.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3.
Wow.
Why do we have this on a place kind of wide open?
Message.
When the priest speaks, everybody could hear what goes on, what's coming up, or what's going to happen. Today, we got microphone and we have speakers. And every night, this place have light and sound shows. Just imagine when this is quiet, how the acoustic sounds of drums, conch, or any other instrument minds use out here, you could hear the different sounds of it. But why? Because you actually have something solid. And when something solid you have in front of you, the sound bounces off and sounds like a bullet going through, or like a bird. What actually experts identify this as a bird, a quetzal bird. That's the secret bird that the Mayans have. That turns through, get together with a temple. That's why they call it the temple of Kukulkan or Quetzalcoatl. Yeah, and you get to see on March 21st and September 22nd, you get to see the shade or the shadow of the snake along the sides of the staircase. If you're gonna take some pictures, please, you could take some pictures around. Well, I'll wait for you right there on the side and then we'll continue with more detail. Green stones. What green stones do we have down here?
Jade?
None.
Oh.
They were brought in and actually put on this cat to symbolize that jade and malachite or turquoise are some of the jewelry that the Mayans used in ancient times on the area. But the surprise in the jade that we got on his eyes actually is brought from the Orient. And sometimes we ask how this jade from the Orient got to America. Carnival Cruise Line? And that's where actually we ask the same question all the time. How the Mayans got down here. And they have the idea that we are descended from the Orient. As again, Temo told you the reason, no? Because of our last names. And actually, on the eastern side area, a lot of people came to the land bridge to Alaska, Canada, United States, and Mexico. And that's what helped us recognize how the Mayans got to this place and spreads down to Central America. Because the Mayan area is not only this place that you are on. The Mayan area actually spread 400,000 square miles. 5 states in the Mexican country and 5 countries in Central America. Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador, Belize, and the upper north and south Nicaragua. And in Mexico is Chiapas, Tabasco, and the 3 states that the peninsula compose, Campeche, Yucatan, and Quintana Roo. So for you to have an idea, we have great relationship with ancient cultures, but actually this broke out through the influence of the Toltecs. And who were the Toltecs? Later on, we found out they were relatives of the Aztecs. And they were more warlike and started breaking out the great relationship that the Mayans had down here. And that's one example of the architecture that the Toltecs had on the area. That structure that we see on the area is dedicated to the warriors. And that's the symbol that we could find in the place today known as Teotihuacan. Because the city that actually Aztecs occupied, it's actually destroyed to build what today is Mexico City, Tenochtitlan. Tenochtitlan and Teotihuacan, there were 2 important cities in the plateau that Mexico City had, or the mountain that Mexico actually was built on. And this is an example what identified that the group actually spreads off and brought more people on the area and started breaking out because they didn't have no great relationship because one more warlike than the other. And what happened to those that were captured? Any idea?
Sacrifice.
Yes. You could see sacrifice to the gods. And you actually could see on this picture that the victim, it's getting his chest cut to pull up the heart. And later on, the heart had to be put where this gentleman has his hands. Yeah, for you to have an idea, some of the rituals that actually was found on the post-classic period on the place. Because we understand the classical period, the Mayans were on the area, didn't have much sacrificial practice. That all this ritual took place through the influence that the people from Central Mexico had on the area. And surprising, today, we get to know that we have credit, that we were great astronomers. Do you know when we had this credit given? 25 years ago.
Wow.
When this culture has been down here. But actually, more than 3,000 years, but actually the problem with it had nothing written down. Remember what the bishop did? Destroy all the books, destroy all the monuments, destroy all the stelas, and make people believe that the culture died out. 25 years, NASA did a lot of investigation out here through satellite and found out that Tulum, Chichen Itza, and Ivichaltun lines up perfectly. Any idea for what?
Time.
Listen, Tulum, Chichen Itza, and Ivichaltun. 3 sites of 3 period of time, 600 years before Christ, 250 and 1000 AD. The first one, it's a small site. The second one, it's a huge site. And the third one, it's a medium site. And those 3 sites line up perfectly to form what today experts consider as Orion's belt. And the height of this structure that you see lines up, and you could see the whole constellation of Orion on the area when the sky is clear. Let's move forward. Horses, no mules, but we had to use these paths to move from one place to another. And one of them is still alive. With the help of satellite, they identified it's 100 kilometers long, or 62 miles long, 20 foot wide. That comes from Koba up to Yashunan. Yashunan is only 15 kilometers away from Chichen Itza. And that connects to the coast to the Caribbean. From that area, we're not far away from Tulum and Xel-Há and Tanca, for you to have an idea. Those sites are closer to Koba, and Koba to Yashunan, and Yashunan to Chichen Itza. But on a straight line, 90 miles away each other.
Wow.
Tulum, Chichen, or Chichen Ivichaltun. Let's move out right here. Classical period, or what actually ends or begins part of the post-classic period, when Mayans had more tools. All the people from Central Mexico brought more tools to Chisolcatam to have them all lined up and do all kinds of decorations, or do a lot of carvings on the rocks. Those evidence help us recognize different tale story the Mayans had around the area, like fighting, or some of them identify kings or priests or warriors around the area. And that's what happened. A lot of these cities were abounded, and time actually took over. The ones that were conquered by the Spanish is because they were thinking that inside those big mountains we had the treasures. But what kind of treasure that we could find in the place? Sometimes only the place that we could identify and give this as a true story, it's Palenque, where they found the last king called Pacal. And he was buried on the bottom part of the temple description. But right here you could see they have another structure in it, and never found burial of a king. They found the 2 statues in it. Let's move it off right here on the side, por favor. Imagine all this color right here. Yeah? My Mayan pointer, see? Okay. You see this gentleman? Yeah? Cranberries, but the shell is very hard. The only thing she had to cook it and drain it, and use this as a tea to help the lady deliver without pain.
Awesome.
And you get to know this is being kept on and on and on, because I see that with my aunt. They keeping what grandmother had. Or no, we might lose, but actually it's born out of them. Especially you get to go to a hospital.
Yep.
Gentlemen, making sure that the ball goes through, and out on the side, making sure the ball goes out. The funny is how tall my ancestors were. How strong they had to be. And remember that Temo mentioned the National Geographic Society is doing a lot of search, a lot of investigation. Got to the area of Chiapas and Tabasco and found out that the ball used by the Mayas, it's solid rubber. The weight of it is 10 pounds, 4.6 kilos. Just using your arms, hips, knee, and ankle to hit the ball from one side to another, and until somebody have a good shot, make it to the ring. And how long does this take? Well, actually, we understand until somebody have a line. And a line counts on how much is? 5. Gracias. And that's how the score goes on and on and on. Not like people ask me all the time if those are the score that the Mayans had. Those are what the archaeologists did on restoring the wall. And you could see they had to restore because a lot of problem with it, because you get to see carefully, all this was covered with stucco, was well decorated, painted, and had to tell a story like right here. Then you could take it out right here, for example. We got 7 players on one side, 7 players out there, and you can see the white spots. Those are brought back from the museum. A lot of the stones are actually not found back right here because they were stolen. And if we find them, might find in private houses. What I had to do, it's making sure that every recognize a lot of this artwork, because this have little problems. These have little problem with the moss all the time or elements. Yeah? Wait till I put this figure, I had it a couple minutes ago. Okay. Do you recognize them so well? It's a little hard to recognize it because of the moss, no? But I got the players right here on this side, with the gentleman holding the head on his left hand side. And right here, I got the other 7 players, and one of them kneeling on one knee, and the ball right there. Yeah? Please, for you to have a better view, identify much of what this place have. And recognize that the one decapitated have lost his head by this gentleman that we have right here, because he got the knife on his right hand side, head on the left side. And you could see carefully that right here you don't have 7 snakes, you got 6. And a vine that recognize that it's symbolizing that the blood coming out from the neck, it's what's gonna be used to fertilize the land. And the land is giving us what is based on fruit, rosettes, and other crops. Yeah? And if we get to see carefully too, we have 6 bodies of snakes, that those are the 6 players. But who got decapitated right here, the winner or the loser? Loser. If we use the loser to fertilize the land, are we going to have good crops? Who was sacrificed? The best player. And sometimes we say the best player, but it's surprising. As you get to know, as we saw on the other picture and we saw on the other mural, there were warriors at the same time. And the warriors actually had slaves. And to honor him, he had to have somebody to be offered, to be sacrificed. Imagine every day or every time they get to play this game, sacrifice the best. What are you going to have for the rest of the year? What are you going to have for many years? That's why they show that the best warrior give the best of his slaves to be decapitated. And where's my friend again? I need you again right here. Could we open up right here? Huh? Can we open up right here? Face up there, amigo. ¿Cómo te llamas? Leo. Leopoldo. Leo. Por favor. Aplauda. You heard that? You heard how the sound bounced back and forth? Otra vez, Leo. And nobody could call up because the priests out there and the players out there, whoever whispered out there on the side, the gentleman on the outside could hear. They might have a punishment. Just for you to have an idea of what went on right here on the side. Huh? You don't wait that the ball hits you. Why we say this? Because this kind of ritual is still practiced as a replica in the place in the National Park of Xcaret. If the ball hits you, bends you. But if you try to hit it first, you're gonna have the ball just hit the hip pad and bounce back out. Because if you try to just wait, and you don't have good position on yourself, it's gonna put you down. And if you miss the ball on the hip pad, might hit you on the ribs. Hasta la vista.
Los mayas tenían libros, se llaman códices.
Canta la cámara.
Le client est roi.
C'est le client.
There's another
Wow.
temple over there.
Hola, tocamos su mano, amigo.
A la otra, carnal.
Voy.
Hey, hello guys.
What's up, man? A la otra, carnal.
Like here.
A la otra.
La otra hora.
It's not gonna help me to not feel so hot and dehydrated.
Yeah.